The countryside afternoon echoed with the chirping of crickets. A gentle breeze swept through the bamboo grove behind the house, making the banana leaves rustle as if someone were softly whispering. Mr. Ba Trak's house nestled beside a barren mound of earth, overgrown with knee-high grass, where a single old kapok tree stood leafless in the center. The villagers called it the grave mound. No one dared to go near it when dusk fell. Inside the house, little Na was sitting on the floor, drawing a circle with a piece of brick and dropping pebbles in the middle. Humming aimlessly, Mr. Ba sat on his hammock, eyes half closed, gently fanning himself with a palm leaf fan. "Mom, that lady is so pretty. She wore a white dress and had really long hair. She gave me a comb." Na's mother was boiling water outside by the stove. When she heard that, she snapped, "Stop it with your lady and her comb. I just told you yesterday not to play behind the mound. Step on a thorn and then blame it on ghosts scaring you." Na tugged at her mother's shirt, mumbling, "I didn't go behind the mound. The lady was standing on top of it. She waved at me, but I didn't go. I just saw her smiling. Then she left the comb in front of our house." Mr. Ba opened his eyes. The hammock stopped swaying. He looked at his granddaughter and asked slowly, "Did you keep the comb?" Na nodded, ran inside, rummaged through her pencil box, and came out with an old aluminum comb. Several teeth were broken, and there were strands of very long hair tangled in it. Na's father, had just come home. Hearing the story, he laughed. "Oh, come on. She probably picked up something someone dropped and then dreamed up a whole tale." Ghosts and spirits. Really? I used to sleep out there on that mound when I was a kid. Nothing ever touched me. Nun glanced at her husband. "You say that, but who dares to sleep out there now?" Aunt Sao said they buried soldiers there after a battle. What mound would ever be at peace after that? Mr. Ba said nothing. He simply took the comb, wrapped it in a cloth, and placed it on top of the cupboard. That evening, dinner at the house was quieter than usual. Na barely ate, peeking out the back door between bites. Mr. Ba breathed steadily, but occasionally glanced at his granddaughter. Late that night, Na began to toss and turn, then suddenly sat up. Her eyes were shut, but she murmured softly, "She's calling for him to come home, it's been so long. And he still won't come. She's sad, she's been waiting forever." Nun, startled awake, shook her daughter. "Na, are you talking in your sleep? Wake up, sweetie." The girl opened her eyes, dazed. "I don't want to go. I'm scared she'll take me with her." Mr. Ba stepped in from the outer room. The oil lamp cast a flickering light on his wrinkled face. He stood still for a moment, then leaned down and gently stroked Na's head. "Sleep, my child. Grandpa's here now." That night, the moon was full and round, casting its glow on the kapok tree at the center of the mound. The wind rustled through the bamboo, sounding like someone softly calling in the stillness of night. The next day, as Mr. Ba opened the door, he saw little Na crouched in the yard. In her hand was the comb he had put away on top of the cabinet the night before. "Where did you get that from?" he asked, his voice not loud but noticeably softened. "She put it in my pillow." "Grandpa, I didn't take it." Na looked up, her voice firm and certain. He stepped forward and snatched the comb. It was still the same one, old, with broken teeth, tangled with long strands of hair. He took a deep breath, turned back into the house, and said no more. The morning passed heavily. Nun was wrapping sticky rice cakes on the veranda, her eyes glancing at her granddaughter repeatedly. Wall left for work early without a word, but just before stepping out the gate, he turned back. "If I hear that girl mention that lady again, she's moving out to stay with Aunt Sao. Got it?" Mr. Ba didn't respond. He just poured tea and sipped slowly like every morning, then grabbed the broom and swept the front porch. Na still sat at the door, holding the black cat, her face strangely emotionless. "Grandpa, why is she sad?" the little girl asked softly. "You saw her again?" Na nodded, her gaze fixed on the kapok tree in the middle of the mound. She sat under the tree. She wrapped her hair around her hand. She said, "You broke your promise." Mr. Ba froze. His hands tightened around the broom handle. Then he left it there, walked into his room, and pulled an old tin box from the bottom of a chest. Inside were aged papers, a necklace, several yellowed letters, and a black and white photograph. In the photo, young Mr. Ba stood next to a long-haired woman wearing a white dye. She had a soft smile. In her hand was the very same comb. He stared at the photo silently for a long time, then let out a faint sigh. Outside, the black cat suddenly leapt up, growling, fur bristled, running around the house as if being chased. From the kitchen, Nun yelled, "Mom, what's wrong with the cat? Grandpa, did it see a snake or something?" Mr. Ba didn't answer. He put the photo away, took a small talisman hidden at the bottom of the box, and tucked it into his shirt pocket. Then he stepped onto the porch and sat next to his granddaughter. "Do you know her name?" Na shook her head. She didn't say. She just asked, "Does Mr. Ba still remember?" That noon, the wind suddenly picked up. Though there was no sign of rain, the kapok tree in the middle of the mound shook violently as if someone were shaking its roots. A group of neighborhood kids playing soccer nearby scattered in panic, claiming they saw a figure behind the tree with no face. That night, the whole family ate dinner in silence. Na ate very little, took just 3 bites, then rested her chin on her hands, staring out the door. "Na, go study," Nun reminded her. "I hear her calling. She's standing out by the mound. She's asking me to come return the comb." Na replied softly, like a breeze. Wa slammed his chopsticks on the tray. "Enough. Cut it out. Kids shouldn't be making up stuff. If you bring this up again, I'll send you to live with Aunt Sao at the end of the street." Na's eyes welled up with tears. Mr. Ba held her hand. "It's okay. I understand. I'll talk to her." That night, he lit a bundle of incense and planted it beneath the kapok tree in the middle of the mound. The air was still, but the incense flickered, smoke curling backward into his hand. He murmured, "I've kept my word. I stayed. I watched over the grave. But my grandchildren have nothing to do with this. Please, leave her be." The wind rose suddenly. Bamboo creaked. A soft laugh drifted by like wind slipping through a thatched roof. At midnight, Na woke again, dreaming. She walked straight to the door, but this time it was tightly locked. She tapped lightly. "Ma'am, I can't open it. Please call Grandpa instead." In her dream, she stood in the middle of the mound. The woman in the white dress held the comb, her long hair dragging on the ground. She sat there, drawing a circle with her hair on the dirt, then said, "A promise must be kept. No one else can take his place. No one." The next morning, little Na had a high fever. Her eyes couldn't open. Her lips repeated over and over, "The comb, give it back to her." Grandpa promised. Nun cried as she called the healer. Wa ran off to find medicine. As for Mr. Ba, he said nothing. He just sat before the wooden chest, eyes sunken, as if he had seen something from a long time ago. The next day, Mr. Ba's house was unusually quiet. Little Na still had a fever. Lying flat on the bed, lips dry, eyes dull and half open, Mr. Ba sat beside her, holding a warm towel, gently wiping her forehead. No one said a word. Only the soft sound of wind could be heard whistling past the porch. The sun hadn't fully risen, but the shadow of the kapok tree on the mound had already stretched all the way to the doorstep. Nun brought out a bowl of porridge, placed it softly on the table, then looked at her daughter. "Dad, are you sure she's not possessed?" Mr. Ba didn't answer right away. After a while, he exhaled and said, "I'm going to tell you something, but you can't repeat it to anyone." Wa stepped up from the back of the house, arms crossed, leaning against a post, his face annoyed. "You're really going to tell it now? That old story you've kept secret for decades, who's going to believe it now?" "Doesn't matter if they believe it, but things have gone this far. If I keep hiding it, it might be too late." Mr. Ba said, his voice steady. He pulled out an old cloth-covered notebook from the drawer. The corners frayed. There were no words inside. Only a black and white photograph glued in with brittle adhesive. It was a picture they'd all seen before. Young Mr. Ba standing beside a girl in a white dye. Long hair flowing, her faint smile soft as mist. Her name was Nok. Back then I was 20. Just started helping build the village communal house. She sold drinks at the edge of the mound. Quiet and kind. Every time I passed by for work, I'd stop for a glass of arrowroot drink. Then we got to know each other. Then we fell in love. Na whispered weakly. That was her. Right, Grandpa? Mr. Ba nodded slowly. His voice softened. Yes. That was her. Nun held her daughter's hand, gently patting it as she murmured. Then what happened? Grandpa, when did she pass? Mr. Ba sat upright, his eyes looking far past the bamboo grove. We planned to run away together. But before we could go, she disappeared. That evening, it rained. I searched for her 3 days and nights. Then someone found her dye floating by the riverbank. Everyone assumed it was over. Wa frowned. Did they ever find her body? Mr. Ba shook his head. No. No one ever saw her again. But ever since, no one dared go near that mound. People whispered all sorts of things. Some said she jumped into the river. Others believed she was taken because of her sorrow. Na lay still, her eyes dry and clear. Then suddenly, she asked, "Did you promise her anything?" Mr. Ba closed his eyes. A moment passed before he slowly nodded. Yes. I promised, if no one remembered her, I would guard the mound in her place. So she wouldn't drift away. So she wouldn't wander. Outside, a strong wind suddenly rose. The windows rattled. The kapok tree swayed violently, its leaves falling thick across the yard. Nun pulled the curtains shut, her voice dropping. I remember now. When she was little, she'd often stare across at the mound. When she learned to talk, every night she'd call for the long-haired lady. I thought she'd watched it in a movie. Wa sighed. But Dad, if you kept your promise, why is she still showing up? Mr. Ba didn't answer right away. After a long silence, he finally said, I did keep my word. But maybe she wants to see me one last time. To ask, why let a child suffer in my place? The wind slammed hard. The door banged shut. The black cat inside hissed, leapt up onto the rafters. Little Na clutched her mother's hand and whispered, She's standing at the door. She's very sad. Mr. Ba stood up, took incense, the old dye, and the comb. Then he walked out the back door, slowly heading toward the mound. No one stopped him. The house stayed utterly still. And out there, beneath the shadows of the kapok tree, a figure in a white dress had been standing for a long time. As soon as night fell, dark clouds rolled in, covering the entire sky above Phuoc Bin village. The rain hadn't started yet, but wind rushed through the bamboo behind Mr. Ba's house, making the banana leaves rustle like someone softly groaning. Inside, Mrs. Sao squatted beside the dinner tray, picking up bits of greens for little Na. But the girl only fiddled with a plastic comb, her eyes fixed on the window. Eat, sweetie, or your tummy will get cold. Na stayed indifferent. She said she's coming tonight. Mr. Ba, sitting on the bamboo bed, looked up at that. Who said that? Child? She was standing on the mound. Her hair's long, so long. Mr. Ba swallowed hard, his eyes briefly uneasy. Mrs. Sao set her bowl down, scolded lightly. Kids always imagining things. Hurry up and eat, then go to sleep. Na lifted her head, her tone calm. Someone's going to die tonight. The words made the whole kitchen go still. No one replied. Only the wind slipping through the cracks in the door sounded like someone whispering. That night, just after Mr. Ba's house went dark, a dog's howl rang out suddenly. Once, then silence. Moments later, it howled again, long and toward the direction of the burial mound. Mrs. Sao sat up in a hurry, grabbing her coat. Let me see if there's some animal outside. But as soon as she opened the door, she flinched. Across the street, near the bamboo grove, stood a figure dressed in white, hair covering her face, motionless. "Ba," she called out sharply, "come here. Look, someone's standing there." Mr. Ba stepped out, squinting in the direction she pointed. But all he saw was a pitch-black patch of darkness. "There's no one there. I swear. I saw her clearly. She wore a white dye, long hair, just standing there." Mr. Ba said nothing, just pulled the door shut and locked the latch. The next morning, the whole village buzzed with talk. Mr. Nam Ro, the man who chopped bamboo for a living, was found dead in his hut. His face had turned purple, eyes bulging, mouth twisted. Everyone said it must have been a sudden stroke. But Mrs. Moy, who sells sticky rice, whispered to Mr. Ba, "I saw him go to the mound the other day, right at noon. He was muttering something to himself, then picked something up and pocketed it. And now he's dead." Mr. Ba felt a chill down his spine. That afternoon, he walked alone to the mound. The grassy patch was unchanged. But over Mrs. Land's grave, the drowned woman temporarily buried there, now grew a strange kind of grass. Bright red like blood. He stepped forward to pull it out. But a dog from somewhere ran past, growling, then let out a long howl. He froze, then turned back. That evening, Mr. Nam's funeral was held hastily. Rain drizzled all night. Few villagers dared attend, only close relatives and the chanting monk. Mrs. Sao lit a candle at the porch, her eyes never leaving the village road. "You see, don't you? Anyone who goes to the mound, something always happens." Mr. Ba drew from his cigarette. "I'm afraid, it's not just the living here anymore. There are others, the ones who've been forgotten." At that moment, little Na ran out from inside, holding a small mourning scarf. She told me to come see the funeral. She said this person died unjustly. Mr. Ba snatched the cloth from her, hands trembling. "Who gave this to you?" "She did. In my dream." She said, "It's not my turn yet." The rain suddenly poured harder. In the rumble of thunder, someone claimed to see a white shadow pass behind Mr. Ba's fence, then vanish into the bamboo. The next morning, Mr. Ba's family woke to find clear footprints on the wet ground in front of their house. A single line, coming straight from the mound to the doorstep. No prints going back. That night, Mr. Ba quietly brought out a cloth pouch containing a talisman, went behind the house, and buried it at the base of the mound. His hands shook, but his face remained expressionless. Before covering it with dirt, he whispered, "I remember, but it's not time yet." In the distance, through the early morning mist, came the sound of a girl's laughter, faint as wind brushing through the old bamboo grove. Autumn had arrived. The dry breeze blew through the bamboo groves, rustling like whispers. That midnight funeral had left the whole village shrouded in unease, so much so that even the children no longer dared to run and play as before. Since then, Mr. Ba's house had grown even quieter. Little Na was taken to the temple for a while, but only a few days later, she insisted on returning. She said, "I hear her standing in the corner of the yard calling my name. She says the temple isn't my home." Mrs. Sao turned pale at that, then looked at Mr. Ba. "Are you still hiding something? A child couldn't make that up." Mr. Ba sighed and took a long drag of his cigarette. "I'm not hiding anything. But that mound, it's not just a patch of land. Long ago, someone was wrongly buried there." That afternoon, just as dusk fell, Mr. Ba took a machete out back and started clearing the banana plants near the edge of the mound. As he worked, he muttered, "It's not that I've forgotten, but now, who do I have left besides my grandchild? That you keep coming back?" Night came. Little Na had another dream. She suddenly sat up, huddled in the corner of the bed, softly singing a song no one had ever taught her. Green jackfruit round and firm. Mother lies beneath the tree. At night she weeps. Who still remembers me? Mr. Ba heard it and hurried into the room, pulling her into his arms. Who taught you that song? Na opened her eyes wide. Not fully awake. No one taught me. I dreamed of her sitting under the jackfruit tree, brushing her hair and singing. The next morning, Mr. Ba set out to have the old jackfruit tree by the fence cut down. The men in the village, upon hearing about it, were reluctant. That tree's right next to the mound. Folks say there's bad energy there. Anyone who touches it ends up tormented. But Mr. Ba was determined. In the end, only Tu Tham, the young man who once worked in the forests, agreed to help. That afternoon, they began, but as soon as the axe struck the jackfruit trunk for the first time, a foul stench rose up, making Tu Tham vomit on the spot. Mrs. Sao shouted, "Stop! Don't cut it, something's not right." That night, Tu Tham came down with a high fever and convulsions. In his delirium, he screamed over and over, "Please forgive me. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. Please. Let me go." Mrs. Sao kept changing the cold towel on his forehead while lighting incense non-stop. Not until the third watch did he finally fall asleep. But his hands remained clenched tight, as if holding something invisible. The next morning, Mrs. Sao came to Mr. Ba's house. Holding a broken comb, she said, while wiping his forehead, "I saw this fall from his hand. I've never seen it in our house before." Mr. Ba examined it closely, his face draining of color. He went silent for a long moment before whispering, "This comb belonged to Miss Buck, the one who was buried in that mound." No one said a word. Outside, the wind rustled through the half-cut jackfruit leaves. The sound now seemed like someone quietly grieving. That night, Little Na whispered in her sleep again. She said, "The jackfruit tree is where she waits. If it's cut down, she won't know where to go." Mrs. Sao turned to look at Mr. Ba, eyes brimming with tears. "What are you going to do? She's just a child. How can she carry the weight of the past?" Mr. Ba didn't answer, but later that night, someone saw him dressed in a black owl dye, holding incense and candles, quietly walking toward the mound. The moon was dim, the wind was cold, and from far away, there still seemed to echo the faint sound of someone singing under the jackfruit tree. The next morning, Little Na woke up, not remembering anything about her dream. But Mrs. Sao remembered clearly every word the child said while in a fevered trance. The whole family had breakfast in silence, broken only by the soft clinking of spoons against bowls of thin porridge. "Grandma Sao, I saw someone standing outside the window. It wasn't you. And it wasn't Grandpa Ba," Na suddenly said, still spooning her porridge. Mrs. Sao flinched and asked slowly, "When?" "Last night, when I got up to use the bathroom. I couldn't see their face clearly. Just a shadow, standing there. Kept looking into the house." Mr. Ba set his chopsticks down. The house went completely quiet. Out in the yard, the chickens scratching the ground suddenly squawked wildly and scattered in all directions. "Ba, we have to do something." Mrs. Sao spoke up, her voice choked. "Just keep the girl inside. I'll go see Master Ba Lan." Mr. Ba replied, eyes still fixed on the windowsill where Na said the figure had stood. That afternoon, Mr. Ba rode his bicycle to the far end of the village. Master Ba Lan's house sat by the riverbank, surrounded by bamboo and thick grass. When he met him, Mr. Ba didn't beat around the bush. "Do you remember the case of Miss Bach back then?" Master Lan fell quiet, then nodded. "Yes, she died unjustly, on the day of her burial. It was sunny, then suddenly the sky went pitch black. Now, my granddaughter keeps dreaming of her. And each time the dream gets clearer." Master Lan pulled a worn silver coin from his pocket. "Take this. Hang it on the stump of the jackfruit tree you cut. At night, don't let anyone go into the backyard." That night, there was no moon. Mr. Ba hung the silver coin on the bare jackfruit branch. Mrs. Sao pulled Little Na close in bed, her heart filled with unease. Just before midnight, the dog in the yard barked furiously, then fell silent. Na suddenly sat up, her eyes were tightly shut. She pointed toward the door. "She's waiting, she says Grandpa Ba broke his promise, she's cold." Mrs. Sao was so terrified she couldn't speak. She clutched Na tightly, her whole body trembling. Outside the window, pale moonlight crept through the curtain. A shadow stood still, like a woman with long hair, her face unclear. Mrs. Sao rubbed her eyes. When she looked again, there was no one there. The next morning, the silver coin hanging from the jackfruit tree had fallen. Its surface turned a dull gray. Little Na sat on the porch, holding the old comb, gently brushing her hair while softly singing. No one comes at noon. No one passes at dusk. Only she is here, drying her hair alone. Mr. Ba looked at the scene, sighed deeply, and quietly stepped back inside. By now, he knew every promise left unkept in the past was slowly finding its way back. That afternoon, a sudden downpour came. Little Na leaned her chin on the windowsill, gazing out at the yard. Rain pounded the mottled ground, flowing into thin, winding streams. The girl whispered. She said rain is when it's easiest to meet, because the rain hides the sound of footsteps. Mrs. Sao heard that, startled, and turned around. Who told you that? Na? Na looked over and smiled gently. My grandma. She often sits under the porch and calls me over to play. She brushes my hair too. Mr. Ba, drying a raincoat by the kitchen, quietly paused. He called out, Na, do you remember what her face looks like? Not very well. I just see her long, smooth black hair. She often bows her head, so I mostly remember her scent. It smells like grapefruit leaves. That evening, Mr. Ba went to the kitchen and rummaged around until he found an old, yellowed handkerchief embroidered with the letter B. He stared at it for a long time, then silently tucked it into his shirt pocket. The rain hadn't stopped by nightfall. It kept drizzling steadily, tapping hard on the tin roof. Mrs. Sao sat hugging her knees beside the oil lamp and asked quietly, "What do you plan to do?" "Tomorrow I'll take the girl to the mound. Maybe she's waiting for me to keep my promise." "What promise?" Mr. Ba looked at her, his eyes sunken and deep. "I once promised, if I died first, I'd bury her in a place where she could see the sunrise every morning. But later, I didn't keep my word." The next morning, Mr. Ba took little Na to the mound. The rain had just stopped, the ground was still damp. Na held his hand, looking around curiously. When they reached a certain spot, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. "Here, right here. She used to sit here." Mr. Ba pulled out the handkerchief and placed it on a small rock under a tree. He lit incense and bowed deeply. Hands pressed together, Na stood beside him, silent, no smile, no questions, just waiting. As the incense burned out, a strange breeze passed through. The hem of Na's dress fluttered softly, and the scent of grapefruit leaves drifted in the air. The little girl gently closed her eyes, as if listening to something no one else could hear. "From now on, she won't be sad anymore," Na said, her voice barely a whisper. That afternoon, Na took a long nap. In her dream, she saw a woman with long hair, wearing a thin silk dress, walking away into the rain, slowly dissolving like smoke. And from that night on, in Na's dreams, there was no more old comb, no more singing beneath the jackfruit tree, only gentle afternoons with the scent of grapefruit leaves drifting softly across the porch. A week after that cold moonlit night, the small village returned to its slow pace of life. But the mound behind Mr. Ba's house was different. Every morning, market goers would sneak glances at it, carefully avoiding even a handspan's distance from the edge of the grass. The elders said, "There's something wrong with that place. It's unsettled." The young folks laughed it off, but none dared go near at night. That day, Mrs. Sao came to Mr. Ba's house, arms full of votive paper, a mirror and comb, and an old set of clothes. "Let's make an offering for her once and for all. If we don't settle this, the children will never be at peace." Mr. Ba hesitated, then nodded. "I've been thinking the same." Tonight, we performed the ritual. As evening fell, the wind was colder than usual. The moon had yet to rise, and the sky was already dim like it was draped in mist. Mr. Ba, Mrs. Sao, and a few close family members quietly laid out a mat by the edge of the mound. Na was there too, tightly holding her old doll, eyes scanning the area without blinking. As the incense flame caught, Na whispered, "She's standing under the banana tree. Her face looks so sad." Mr. Ba took a deep drag of the incense, voice trembling. "Bach, I'm sorry. All these decades, I've never told anyone the truth. Tonight, I'm making it right." No one in the village truly knew what the old story was. Only rumors about Miss Bach, the long-haired woman who once lived with Mr. Ba when they were young. She died suddenly, buried hastily beneath the mound, without ceremony, without questions. After the offering, Na quietly placed the old comb and the doll on the ground. A breeze swept through, carrying the paper robes swirling around the mound. No one said a word. That night, Na slept soundly, unusually so. No talking in her sleep, no sudden jolts, but Mr. Ba tossed and turned. Near dawn, he stepped out to the porch, gazing toward the mound. Then he called softly, "Na, wake up. Grandpa wants to talk for a bit." Na rubbed her eyes and walked over. He placed his hand on her head. "If one day, Grandpa has to go far away, will you miss me?" Na, innocent as ever. "Where are you going? Are you going to buy me some cake?" He smiled sadly, pulling her into a hug. The next morning, whispers rippled through the village. Mr. Ba had passed away. He was found lying beside the wall, arms around an old notebook. On the first page, scribbled messily, "Bach, I've come home. Please forgive me." No one dared step foot near the mound again. Mr. Ba's house was locked. Little Na was taken in by Mrs. Sao. From that day on, no one saw a single soul cross the mound at dusk. But every year, on the night of the full moon in the 7th lunar month, people would see a man standing in the middle of the mound, holding a bundle of incense, murmuring apologies, his shadow cast upon the withered grass, not long, not short, and not falling in the direction of the moonlight. The burial mound behind the house, the place the last person had left, but somehow, something had never truly gone. Morning fully broke as the final rooster crowed from the upper village. The wind stopped blowing over the mound. The trees stood still. No one called from beyond. No whispers came into little Na's dreams. Everything, as if nothing had ever happened. But the villagers still say, on nights when the moon is a sliver, if you stand at the edge of Mr. Ba's old yard and look carefully toward the mound, you'll see the silhouette of a woman combing her hair, holding the old comb, gently, quietly, as if she had never left. Clapperboard, you've just finished the final part of the story, the burial mound behind the house. Thank you for staying with us until the very last moment. Speech balloon, if you believe that some old things, though forgotten, still quietly remain, leave a comment below. Bell, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story.